This week's Rack of the Week is a two-fer. We're going to look at two racks, one by Ruslan Chinakhov and one by myself. They have a lot in common, and I call them both textbook straight pool racks. This is what you want as often as you can when you're playing straight pool. Let's get into the racks. Welcome to this week's Rack of the Week. Ruslan has a perfect break shot. Inside angle on a somewhat high break ball. It's across from the top of the rack. That's what you're looking for. He's going to hit this with a straight high on the cue ball. And in this case, the cue ball hit that 10 ball in the rack full, bounced off, and went straight back into it. And that killed the speed of the cue ball completely, although you can see it's still spinning with left English. Often that cue ball will go to the bottom rail off the side of the rack. But in this instance, it hit that 10 ball full and it just stayed there. Notice there's a cluster, 6 balls. Very often that happens. A lot of times you see them still in a triangular pattern. It doesn't matter. 6 balls in the center of the table, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 balls on the outside. So this is an ideal situation. And what's your goal here? Your goal is to open these balls gently if you can with insurance balls. I don't think they can be picked off without bumping these balls. Ruslan realizes that, and he's discovered a shot immediately to do just that. Can you see what he's doing? I didn't right away until the cue ball rolled into position. This is very specific speed control to try and get a shot on this 13 ball to open up the rack immediately. It's an ideal shot, and he hit it perfectly. Now I want you to look. If he hit it too soft, that means the cue ball would have stopped here and he would have had a shot on the 4 or possibly the 6 somewhere. If he hit it too hard, the cue ball would have landed here and he would have a shot on the 3, possibly the 4, or the 9 ball. So there's options whether the cue ball traveled long or short. But he's a few racks into this run. He's got the speed of this table dialed in. And that's the reason why he took so long down on the shot, was really calibrating just how hard do I want to hit this. Now, when you shoot this breakout shot, this is a re-break to open this cluster. Obviously, no matter what happens with the cue ball, right there's his insurance ball, 3 in the corner. So you don't need to blast into this. And you don't need to scatter these balls wide on the table, just hard enough to get them open. And if it's done well, that may be the last re-break shot. That might be the last time his cue ball hits another ball other than the ball he's pocketing during this rack. Now you can see he's cueing low, because he knew the cue ball was going to come up and hit this 5 ball. And he probably hoped for it to stop right there so he'd have a shot at his insurance ball, which didn't happen. But it was very unlikely that he's not going to end up with a shot, and indeed he's got a shot on this 2 in the side that's very easy. But look at the results. It's exactly what I was predicting. This is just ideal. He's got 3 possible break balls, the 6, the 1, and the 10. He's got the 7 ball on this side of the table, which could possibly be a key ball. Just draw the cue ball here to get position on these break balls. Or if the 10 is his break ball, he'll have the 9 ball on the side as a key ball. And if that's the case, he probably wants to preserve one of these balls on this side of the table diagonally from that key ball to get on his key ball for the break shot. Alternatively, I don't mind the pattern either where you go 9-14 as your last 2 balls, because it's easy to pocket the 9 ball in the side from a variety of angles and give yourself a slight angle on this 14 to just bounce off the rail, and you're on your 10 ball break shot. So I know that Ruslan sees all of that. In this instance, he's got to shoot this 2 ball, and then probably, given what I just talked about, go to the low end of the table. So rather than working, so he's going to play the 14. He's not going to keep that 14 ball for later in the rack. He's going to shoot it now, and then he'll shoot this ball and use that to go, as I was saying, go low. He wants to get the low balls. Rather than working top down, his key balls are up here, so he's going to get the low balls first. So I imagine he's going to play position for the come off over here for the 11 or the 3. Yeah, probably the 11 ball here. Now, if he's going to shoot, he's probably chosen already, but if he's going to use the 10 and the 9 for the end of the rack, yeah, he's just going to come up here and shoot the 3. Now, he could shoot the 3 and then try and get the cue ball low to transition this way for the 7. But I think, yeah, you can see him using left English to go to the 7 now. Because from the 7, he can come back to one of these balls, get the 4, and come back up. And then he's got a K2 ball in one of these to get on the 9. Notice how easily and quickly he's able to work his way through this rack. And that's because he's recognizing the balls that are important, the 10 and the 9, and then the low balls, to eliminate the low balls and then come back around. Okay, so in this case, he's got the 4. A stop shot on the 5, rather, gives him an angle on the 4 to just bring the cue ball right back up center table. And he doesn't have to do it that way. Yeah, he's not going to. He's playing a stop shot. So he's playing position on the 1. Now a stop shot on the 1 gives him an angle on the 4 to bring the cue ball back up for the 9. That's a little bit less desirable, in my opinion. And that's because you might not get just right. You might end up short on this 9 or high or long on the 9. Either of them are workable if you don't get straight in. I prefer the other route because then no matter what angle you get on the 1, then you'll be able to bounce off this rail or something and get better on the 9. But like I said, he's totally dialed into the position, and he's going to get there no matter what. So that was a textbook rack. Notice how easy it was, even though there were 6 balls clustered at the end of the rack, or at the beginning of the rack. Because he got those balls open, let's see, he shot the break ball, and then one more ball. His second shot after opening the rack opened that cluster, and the table was wide open. So a player of Ruslan's caliber, when the table is completely wide open with 12 balls on it, or 11 or 12, he's going to clear that table 100% of the time without ever shooting a difficult shot. That's what you want in straight pool. That's how you're going to put together a lot of racks. And it starts with this, the ideal angle, inside cut, where you can just shoot with a high ball. That's your highest percentage in straight pool. There he goes again. How many balls are in the rack area? 6. Rinse and repeat, folks. My break shot isn't quite as ideal. You know, Ruslan's was more over here, so mine's a little bit closer to the rack. I think the cue ball behaves better when it's over here, and that's something I'll talk about at another rack of the week or another video. So in my break shot, I used low because I was worried about the scratch into the corner. So, but notice after the break shot, how many balls in the rack area? 6 balls. All the other balls are wide open. So I'm doing exactly the same thing as Ruslan. I've found a shot to play for immediately to get that center cluster open, and that's in this 6 ball. And I've been playing on this table a little bit. Again, the shot line to the pocket is right here, and I know that I can get, or I think that I'm real confident I can get the cue ball just past that line, so I have an angle to shoot the 6 and nudge these balls. I'll have an insurance ball on the 15, 4 ball. I'm not worried about having a shot after this. Hit the ball. I got the speed control just right, so I've got a slight angle. I really don't want the cue ball to move very far. The 3 ball should move, the 5 should move the 9, and these should be open after this shot. Cue ball moved a little farther than I wanted, but it's hardly a concern. I've got a shot on the 1, the 3, and the 8. So similar condition. Let's take a look at my rack. I don't have as many break ball options as Ruslan did, but obviously 7 balls the break ball, 15 in the side is the key ball. So diagonally from the key ball is over here. So one of these balls I think I want to preserve as a K2 ball to get on the 15. Alternatively, there's a wide position zone to get on this 2 ball into the corner pocket. And then I can hold the cue ball here. That gives me the angle to shoot the 12 in this side over here and slide the cue ball down to get on my key ball. So the end of the rack could be 2, 12, 15. Or the end of the rack could be something and then 4, 15 or 13, 15 or 10, 15. But I know that those possibilities exist. And so same situation. Rather than going top down in this instance, I need to clear the low balls and go low up to high in this rack. So from this position, I could shoot the 8 or the 3, and I choose the 1. That's my only trouble ball in any sense on this table because it blocks the 10. So just shoot the 1, come out. Here's the shot that an APA3 can make, shoot the 10, and now I can shoot the 8 or the 3. I think it's better to shoot the 3 because position is natural to bring the cue ball this way. I'll have a shot on the 4 or the 9. I think I'm playing position for the 9 here. Might also have a shot on the 13 back in this side pocket. Nope, not the case. Anyway, super easy shot on the 9. The position here is just roll the cue ball with follow right up here. I'm going to get positioned on this 5, and I might even bump the 4 ball into a break ball. No, I didn't hit it hard enough to do that. I'm really playing with efficiency here, not trying to do more than I need to with that cue ball. So obviously, roll forward, then I have an angle on the 8 ball. Notice how easy and natural everything is. There isn't any work in a textbook rack when you just get them open early. And so from this point, I purposely gave myself a low angle on the 8. Cue ball goes to the side rail and out. I'll have a shot on the 4 or the 2 or the 13. I can work from there, depending on exactly where the cue ball lands. If I remember correctly, I think I'm purposely playing for the 2 because I want to go 2, 12, and then you can see from the 12, it's almost a stop shot onto this 13, and then onto the 4, and then the 15 on the side. It's just connect the dots. And I remember here, I do something a little bit adventurous because it'd be easy. Why did I go over to that side of the 13? I don't know. That's a 9-ball shot. The straight pool, I should have just gone, boop. That cue ball should have traveled 3 inches. I'm not sure why I did that, but I made the shot missable by doing that, and it didn't have to be missable. Here, easy peasy. If my cue ball had come a little bit farther, it's so easy to just stun the cue ball over here. You got the 4 in this corner pocket. As it is, I'm a slightly above the 13, so just come over here. Let's connect the dots. Tom Cruise could run out this rack of straight pool. Anyway, so getting on this 15 ball, I know some players, and myself included, used to be you're dead straight in. Oh, I just need to draw back at 4 inches. Don't ever do that. It's such an easy shot to just cheat it a hair and use follow or center ball to bounce off the rail. You have so much more control in the final position. And I'll say, if you look at my position on the break ball, I'm parallel to the rail. And that's a real good shot. I mean, you'd be envious of getting this shot every time if you could. However, if the cue ball was here, I think it's almost twice as good. Oh, I racked the balls on the wrong end of the table. I was playing on the opposite end of the table because it's closer to the camera. Anyway, but this angle, you can pocket this ball with just as much consistency as when the cue ball is parallel to the rail. But with this angle, your cue ball has more force. A high ball brings the cue ball in off the rack into the bottom rail much easier. I've come to realize that even a slight angle on this ball is much better. So maybe I'm just making this up, but look at the results. I believe I'm shooting above center here. Yeah, I shot above center. Cue ball really hooked to the bottom rail, and I needed to because otherwise it would just go right in the drink. But look at the results. Now, maybe I could have shot it a little bit harder. I've got my cluster, which is expected in the center of the table, but the rest of the balls didn't have enough energy to open up very well. So this is not going to be a textbook rack. And so this rack is not nearly as high percentage, and I'm not sure I might not have gotten out this rack because of that. And I think it's because of the angle on the break shot. If you get this angle, you have a much higher chance of opening up the rack and being able to open up the center cluster in one shot and having a textbook rack that you can clear easily.